Hello, hello, hello. Once again, it's me, KB, coming at you all the way from the baby LA Lansing area, Chi-Town's finest. Okay, this is my first show for the year, show for January, and I'm going to be changing up. In this season, I'm going to talk more about personal matters, life-changing matters, good or bad, pro or con. And I'm going to start having guests, and I'm going to start doing some live shows. So you can look forward to a change in me, and all of us speaks about a change for the new year. But sometimes you speak about it, and sometimes you be about it. So sometimes you have to do exactly what you plan to do. Sometimes you make plans, and you make changes, and you make resolutions, and sometimes you keep them, and sometimes you don't. So let's try and keep some of our resolutions for this year. As the new year comes, a better me, a better you. Today I do have a guest that I'm going to be introducing shortly. I just wanted to talk about freedom being a state of mind. Sometimes you can be free, or sometimes you can be in prison and still be free in the mind. So sometimes you have to keep that in mind, that freedom is a state of mind, because there's a lot of people that's out here in the world and they're not free. They're not free at all. They're in the bondage and the chains of their mind, their mental. And first you have to begin to change your mind. Your mind dictates your actions. Your mindset dictates your actions. So sometimes you have to realize that, and sometimes you have to be self-aware about certain things. And sometimes you have to be cautious, because life offers us a lot of warning signs, and sometimes we don't heed the warning signs. But sometimes we need to take heed to warning signs. And like I said, try and be a better you and a better me. And in this season, that's what our intentions are. We intend to do some good things. I wanted to read a little poem that I had wrote. I don't really have to read it. I kind of know it. It says, it's as though my brain has took a train, yet I remain unmoved, untouched, and unaware of just how long this ride will last. So sometimes we have to kind of just get off that ride that's lasted too long and do something different. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest. I'm going to introduce to some of you and present to others he's a book writer, and he's good at it, because I've read the whole book, and it's called, you see it? The Other Side of the Lie. So it's always two stories to everything that goes on in life. It's the truth and it's a lie. But the other side of the lie, I'm going to let him begin to talk and begin to tell his story. And I have a few questions for him. Like I said, I'm presenting to others and introducing to some. Mr. Anthony Flemming.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing? How you doing? Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. You got to come over here some more. There he is, Mr. Anthony Flemming. He's the author of the book, and I'm sure he got a story to tell that's very interesting, because the book is very interesting. He's going to leave the address and leave some information where you guys can order the book and read it, and it's going to be something that you can't put down. So I have a few questions for him. He drove up from out of town. So how was your ride?
Great. Road's bad, but made it
And
safe.
I'm so glad to have you on. Can you come over a little bit more? Okay, I'm so glad to have you on. And I have a couple questions. The first one, I want to ask you a little something about your life and how your life was going prior to this situation. How was your life going? And then we'll talk about the alterations and the changes that took place in your life. But how was life for you before you encountered this situation?
Well, pre-prison, I thought my life was on course. I made some mistakes. My mindset at that time was, when you know better, you do better. So my thing was, when I was for prior prison, my choices in life was a little bit misguided. I need to redirect my way of living and
Right.
sometimes we find ourselves in situations where it's out of our control. So
That's true.
yeah.
That's so true. That's very true. Okay, well, we're gonna get into the situation that caused you to lose some time from your freedom and caused your life to be altered. And I know it was a situation from what I've read. It had to do with a woman that came into your life, and I don't know. Sometimes I know I'm a woman, and sometimes women can have ulterior motives for coming into your life or for meeting you. They can have their own ulterior motives, and sometimes us not being prepared or noticing that, we can tend to fall prey to a lot of things in life. But in meeting this individual, how I know we read, and I've talked about it was some financial gains. And I wanted to ask you, had you ever been into a friendship or a relationship where you had financial gains and it was your motivator to moving forward in that situation? Had you ever done that before?
I would say no to that. It was an encounter where I found myself in a situation where well, the story is kind of complicated. It didn't start out that way. My relationship with the person that's in my book, it started out in a professional way. It started out as a business arrangement. In the book, the person we're talking about, well, there's no mystery to it. You're gonna find out her name if you read the book. Her name is Lori, and I got involved with a personal relationship with this woman, and it went from a professional relationship to a personal relationship. Lines was crossed, and that shouldn't have been crossed, and
of course,
it's how it ended up. It started out and like I said, it was a business arrangement at first, and it led to some personal.
That's understandable. I mean, things happen, so no one can judge. We as human beings can't judge the next one because all of us has been into some sticky situations or some situations that were altered that started one way and turned out another way. And I was just kind of interested in the part where you said that you was not so happy even entering into it physically and into the relationship where you went against yourself. Mm-hmm. You kind of went against yourself and what you stood for, what you believed. And we all do that, but I'm just saying, you want to speak on that a little bit on how you kind of went against some of the things that you kind of believed in or some of the things that you stood for prior to that?
When I was in prison, once you read the book, you realize that I was in prison. I did 6 years in prison. And when I discovered some things, there I tried to utilize my time in a positive way. I took classes.
Okay.
Took 13 self-help classes. I read every day that I was in there. I try to be a better person when I come out. But before I went to prison, when I got involved with this person, one of the hardest questions I had to ask that was asked to me when I was in prison was, most people want to know how did I get across the line in a personal way with this person.
Right.
My thing was, I struggled with an answer for years. Till one day someone helped me discover that when I was in Grand Rapids, I don't think I had any kind of support team and stuff like that. Okay. So my upbringing about getting involved with someone, my father used to say, all money ain't good money.
Yeah.
And so when you say, well, when you come from where I come from, what do you mean all money ain't good money?
Right, absolutely.
Always thought, well, if it's spendable, it's all good money. Right. So when I got involved with this person, it started out in a business arrangement. I was a personal trainer at the time. I agreed to start training this person.
Okay.
When I show up for the training sessions, in personal training, you start out like, okay, I'll give you a designated time.
Right. And
say, hey, well, Kathy, I'll be there at 5:00.
Right.
Be ready to train at 5:00.
Of course.
So if I show up at 5 o'clock, if you're not ready at 5 o'clock, if you got to get dressed and stuff, your time is still running.
Of course.
And so when I get there, I can get to the place and she not ready or whatever, and she said, "Well, look, I'm still gonna pay you for your hour of time."
Okay.
So I don't want to train. I want
Right.
to sit here and drink coffee. I want to sit here and have lunch with you.
Right.
So it started out like that in a business arrangement. Whatever you do with your time, that's on you. And
Of
so
course.
if I get there at 5 o'clock and you're not ready, that's on you. So if you don't, it take you a half an hour to get dressed, then that's your time. So if I'm leaving at 6 o'clock, that's your hour.
Right.
Well, in this situation, the person will say, "Hey, I'm still gonna pay you for your time, but just sit here and have lunch with me,
Right.
have coffee with me." So in my mind, said, "Well, if that's how you want to spend your money,
Right.
that's on you."
Right.
Well, another person may frown upon that and say, "Hey, are you taking advantage of a person?" How you choose to spend your money,
It's
that'll
your
be on
money.
you.
Okay, well, noting at the time that the dynamics of the relationship or the friendship or the business thing had changed, that didn't deter you at all to stop spending the quality time, because, I mean, it was
Arrangement.
a financial arrangement for you, and it was beneficial for you and beneficial for her in another way, right?
Doing this process when I was going to trial, when I was in court, I'm not going to say race was a factor, but it was. Okay, so when I was going to trial, doing this case, one of the things the lawyer and the prosecutor was arguing that the arrangement was it criminal or was it unethical? Did you cross lines? How did you compromise your moral compass? Okay, so your moral compass is compromised. What I'm saying, where if a person has, how do I put this? With me and Lori, if I'm, if you're paying me for my time, someone would say, "Well, I'm taking advantage of you in some kind of way. If you want to pay me for the time to talk to you, whatever, something like that." Well, it's morally probably would be wrong, but criminally, is it wrong?
Well, I'm not a judge or a jury, but I can see your point. I don't see where it would probably be criminally wrong, simply because a person can use their money for whatever they pretty much want to use it for. And if she wants a gentleman's time and she want to spend her money that way, then that's kind of personal. I feel like, I don't know, it kind of varies, but I feel like it could be personal if that's what she wanted to do.
Right.
But I'm saying, even in the process of a personal arrangement or however it is, the lines get crossed when two parties don't understand that this is an arrangement, opposed to a lot of women tend to deal in their emotions and their feelings and how they feel about a person. But when something started out an arrangement, then somebody broke the deal of being just an arrangement and made it more personal. Okay. More emotional, and women are emotional creatures, so I can imagine that in the process of giving someone what they wanted and them feeling like they want more and they want more and they want more and feeling like they want it all ultimately. And that's what it seems like happened. They wanted more and more of your time, and ultimately wanted to stake claims. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. From the very beginning, like I said, when I first started coming around to train Lori, it started out crossing boundaries,
right?
Crossing the lines where the touching, the feeling, or whatever, something like that, and I would try to keep it on a professional level.
I read your book. I read your book.
And she would cross line, and I do remember the time when I allowed the lines to be crossed. That's on me. I allowed her to touch or whatever, and we crossed those lines. I used to say that, as you put it, like sold my soul at that time, where I compromised my principles
Of course.
for financial gain or something like that. Again, when you know better, you do better. So would I do that now if I had to do it all over again? No. I would, if it's business, it's business. It's professional, it's professional.
Of course.
But I don't make
we
it
live
personal.
and we learn.
You know what I'm saying? You live, you learn. So when you know better, you do better. One of the questions most people ask me once they read the book, if she wasn't my woman or if we weren't in a relationship, why did you cross some lines? Again, at that time, a whole lot of things you may have learned at one time, you got to unlearn and redo it in another way,
Of course.
But yeah.
Well, I do have a question right there. It was an arrangement either way, but I'm saying, I feel like when I was reading the book, I wanted to ask you the question, do you feel like when you would catch her with another guy or you knew about another guy, did you feel like your finances was threatened? Did you feel like your emotions was threatened? Or did you feel like physically threatened? How did you feel when you would catch her with another guy? And then were your emotions tied in that?
I say no.
Were you afraid of your finances being threatened?
No, I don't, like I say, at the time, your mindset at the time it was a business arrangement for me at the time.
Okay.
I didn't involve my personal feelings I never looked at this person as I was in a committed relationship with that person. I think I had disconnected myself from saying, hey, I don't have any claims on you. You don't have any claims on me.
Okay.
You do you and I do me. And we had that type of relationship. Well, in my mindset, that's what I thought I had with the arrangement with her.
Right.
She may have had other ideas,
right.
But at the time, my mind was saying like, I come over, I train you, and you give me X amount of dollars. This is what we got here.
Right.
Now, and I can't predict what your mindset would be or what your intentions are.
Right.
I don't have any control of your intentions. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Of course. Okay. Of course. Well, my condolences to your mom. You lost your mom during that time when you first went. And my condolences to that, because it's hard for anybody to lose a loved one or to lose a parent, and especially under them conditions. I can imagine that was part of the hardest thing that you had went through.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine that, but my condolences for that. And so about personally your stay, how did that go for you? I'm talking about outside of Lori and that situation while you were in prison and locked up that long amount of time. How did you fare with that?
Well, in prison, you either remain the same person when you go in there, or you choose to do something different.
Okay.
I choose to utilize my time in a productive way. I study, I read every day. I read every day of the week. I took every class I could take while I was in there to try to improve myself. 3 things you probably do in there is play checkers, play chess, play basketball,
okay.
or lift weights. You can utilize your time productively. So I chose to do that to be different when I come out of there. So I applied myself to every class I can get my hands on.
Oh yeah, that's the next question.
And I read every day, and I started writing this book.
Okay.
In prison.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that was one of my questions I was going to ask. Did you do any, take any skills or any training while you was in there to better your life when you came out?
Yeah, I mean, let me say this. In prison, when you go in prison, when you go through quarantine and orientation, they give you an agenda to follow.
Okay.
By the state of Michigan or whatever, state of Illinois, whatever state you're in. And they tell you, well, while your stay is here, we want you to take these classes.
Okay.
If it's drugs, they want you to take some regarding drugs. If it's violence, they want you to take classes just dealing with violence.
Okay.
Because they want you to know the error of your ways. They want to, one of the things with me having an assault of a case, with this situation. They felt I need to take these classes. So when you go in front of a panel of shrinks and psychs and social workers or whatever, one of the things that they wanted me to take was the two issues they felt I had was boundaries and triggers.
Okay.
You want to work on your boundaries and triggers, setting boundaries for yourself. So when the first class they made me take was dealing with boundaries and triggers. So, well, at the time, my mind was saying, well, this is a bunch of BS. These white folks don't know me. I ain't trying to deal with this shit. I don't want to be bothered with this bullshit. But it worked out, not to include God in this, okay? But you can't do anything without him. So one of the things
of course we're going to include God in this because he got you through one of the hardest times of your life.
One of the things that I discovered when I was in there where God don't make mistake, when my mother passed and I'm going to prison, I was angry and bitter about being there. I felt like an injustice that God had took my mother away from me. I'm going to prison for a crime I didn't commit.
Okay.
So I didn't want anything to do with religion. I didn't want to hear anything about the Bible, church, nothing. You couldn't talk to me about any of those things.
Right.
While I was there, you go in front of this panel of people. They tell you to take these classes. So reluctantly, you take them because they tell you if you don't take these classes, you're not getting out of prison.
Right.
So when you take these classes, it's no accident. Everything that I was learning in prison, God was saying, okay, you have to be here. You got to sit still for a minute. There's a quote that I always believe in the Quran. It says, man finds himself where he solves his problem best.
Okay.
Man finds himself where he solves his problem best. So when I was out here and I was getting involved with relationships, toxic relationships and dysfunctional relationships and stuff like that, well, I wasn't the most healthiest person either. So with me, my mindset, I grew up in Detroit. A whole lot of dysfunctional stuff I learned in Detroit.
Right. Okay.
I had to unlearn in prison.
Right.
Man finds himself where he solves his problem best.
Okay.
Well, I couldn't solve my problems out here in society.
Okay.
It took me going to prison to learn how to solve my problems. Get it? Man finds himself where he solves his problem best. If you're an alcoholic, you might find yourself in the hospital before you stop drinking.
Okay.
You might, if you're using drugs, you might find yourself in jail before you get rehab or whatever.
Okay.
So with me being out here, I'm not saying I was a taker or a user or whatever. A whole lot of things like coming up in Detroit, my father had a wife and a family on the side, had other kids.
Okay.
And so there was an acceptable behavior in my neighborhood. All the men I knew had women and other women at the time. So my mentality at that time was, I can do whatever I want to do, but you can't do it as a woman.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So with me dealing with other women, I can see other women, but you can't. So when the arrangement I had with Lori, if you want to be involved with me personally, look, I can date out here, but you can't. And so see how dysfunctional that thinking is?
Okay. Yeah.
So you have to learn. When you know better, you do better. Of course. So in that place, I just learned a whole lot of different things that I realized that was stinking thinking. It was very dysfunctional thinking I had.
Well, it's a saying that everything happens for a reason. You would agree with that, right? Things happen for a reason. So you being incarcerated and you going through what you went through, I feel as though strongly in reading the book, I feel like it's a lesson learned. In a sense, I feel like you got something out of it. You didn't just go through everything that you went through and didn't get something out of it, be it a change of mindset or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It's something in a positive way that you got out of it. And I also wanted to ask you about your, you said you had a very good support system once you got out. The same support system you didn't have prior to going in there. When you got out, you had a support system. So You can tell me the strengths that gave you.
What do you mean, like the support team I have now in place, or
Yeah.
when I first got out?
Well, when you got out and now, you can talk
Well,
about.
you know, I again, we go back to how God has blessed my life. Now I got a great job. I have a good support team with family and friends. My kids are amazing. They're very supportive of me. I just been had a whole lot of support since I got out that I probably didn't have before I went in.
Okay, can it be that you didn't recognize that you had support then more than you do now since you got out? You may have had some support,
That's possible. That's possible.
but you probably didn't recognize it and pay it close attention until you really found yourself needing of support. And then now you find yourself out and you got more support now. Maybe you had support all the time. Maybe, huh?
That's possible. The thing is recognizing the error of your ways, right? So,
of course.
With that being said, people that I hurt and I wronged and I messed over because of my selfish acts.
Okay.
People that shown love towards me or was good to me. A thing like when you say when you know better, you do better. A lot of things I did back then, I was selfish.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I was a taker, but maybe I were a taker at the time. Maybe I was a user at that time where that's all you learn what to do. So before you go in that place, a whole lot of things that I may have done then I wouldn't do now. And so with my selfishness at the time, people that was good to me, I wasn't always good to them. You know what I'm saying? And I was just moving too fast to recognize that they were good people. I heard a lot of people before I went in there. And so one of the things since I've been home is you deal with guilt. You deal with guilt of trying to repair relationships with your children, with the exes and family members and friends. But I come to realize what I deem as guilt and maybe retribution. When retribution, what I mean by is trying to repair relationships of the people that you hurt, that you damaged in this relationship.
Right.
Whether they choose to forgive you or try to accept your apologies or try to make an atonement for those relationships, the best you can do is apologize and move on. That's what I do now is I go back and try to fix relationship with people I hurt or wrong at the time. It's on them if they want to forgive me or not.
Yeah, I was about to say, when you've done your share and your part and apologized and then asking for forgiveness, it's all right to draw the line because it's only so much apologizing and talking from your heart that you can do with somebody. You don't want to get sucked into a place of sadness or a place of feeling disrespected or feeling unaccepted. You don't want to get into a place like that, so you just can apologize and continue to move forward and continue to live a healthy and a positive life and a positive lifestyle. So at the ending of the book, I kind of picked up that you're about living a positive and a healthy and a good life. And that's what you exude. You exude positivity. So, I mean, everybody makes mistakes and everybody has a story to tell. Everybody, I mean, me personally, I've never been to prison, but I have family members that's been to prison and family members that and it hurts like I'm in prison sometimes, but I have family members that tell me the stories about how they feel and how it hurts and how they miss their family and they miss their loved ones and how they've learned from their mistakes and things of that nature. So it's a learning tool as well. If you're willing to learn, some people make mistakes and they go back and continue to make the same mistakes. And other people, they learn from their mistakes. So learning from mistakes is a good thing, and it's always a positive thing. So I feel strong that you are on the right track.
Thank you.
You're on the right track and a good track and a positive track. So I know you want to tell people you want to tell people about your book, and
yeah, you can find it on Amazon. It's Anthony Flemming at Anthony Flemming. Other side of life, Anthony Flemming at gmail.com, and you can find it on there on Amazon. It's called The Other Side of the Line. The case number's on here where anything that you doubt about the book, the case number is there.
Right.
You know, yeah.
And I'm gonna second that emotion. He did a great job, and the book is just it's like watching a good movie where you just get pulled in and you don't want to put it down because you want to read the next storyline. The only difference in it's just being a movie is this is real life. It's something that happened to someone. It's something that happened in someone's life, and a lot of times another person might have a similar story. They might have a story that's close to his, or maybe even a different story where it took them down the wrong path, and afterwards they're moving forward, and maybe they don't know how to move forward. And I say read the book, and you can get something out of it, and you can learn something from it, and enjoy reading a good book as well. So sometimes you just want to relax and kick your feet up and read a good book. But a lot of times we think our story is the worst story in the world. Everybody always got a story to tell, and some of them is better and worse than others. So just be supportive. Order the book.
Okay.
Buy the book. You won't regret it. That's for sure. You won't regret it. But I've enjoyed Mr. Flemming's time spent here. He kind of went out of his way to come here today, and things didn't go perfect like I wanted them to. But they went good. They went good, and I'm sure he got something else to say concerning his life, or concerning his book, or concerning his situation. Maybe he can advise someone about what to do, or maybe what not to do. I'll let him have some words.
What I say, life is good. Life is what you make it. Try to stay positive. Every day above ground is a good day, so live your best life, enjoy life, and put God first,
Put God first. Okay, but before you go, I have a gift for you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
KB has a gift for you, and I hope you enjoy it. And I've enjoyed your time here and your company. Mm-hmm. It's been real and it's been good. So I'm going to close on that and talk with me, KB, on the next show. Until then, peace. Okay, bye.
Bye.
You said bye.
Bye.